Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Joni.
Oh, you are there. Wasn't sure if you just turned on and walked away.
Hang on, I gotta shut something off. Whoop, hang on. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. Are we the only two on?
So far.
Cool.
Oh, Erin's coming in right now. Gonna let her in. Yeah, I just signed in a couple of minutes early to see if anybody wants to chit chat a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry I missed last week, but the grandchildren slept over.
I understand. It's vacation week.
Exactly.
get
But
it?
we had them 3
Hi,
days
Erin.
and one overnight. Hi, Erin.
Did you get a chance to watch the video yet?
No.
It was kind of fun because we had 5 or 6 images that we edited together. And tonight we're back to a little bit more technical stuff, unfortunately, but I think that once people understand some of these settings, it might make their life a little easier. So I wanted to throw it in at some point.
Uh-huh. Well, so that's good because I didn't miss anything technical.
Okay. No, but that's kind of the dry stuff. I'd rather do the develop module.
Right,
all
yeah.
night long.
That was the fun.
But nobody's really sending me pictures. So
You know what, Joni, I can't because I'm still in this never land of the only way I can send images is through my Comcast, which is connected to everything, and it's not sending it. I sent a test to myself the other day. It took 3 days for it to come in.
So what's your email address?
Well, I have 2. I have ellam@comcast.net, and that's what's connected to all of my scanning and everything.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Whatever, you can do it from anything. If you use Lightroom, right?
Yeah.
So
but-
you export your picture to your desktop, right?
Well, what do you mean export to my desktop?
You go to let's say you want to submit an image to competition.
Right.
How do you get an image to competition?
I go into my pictures and I select from my pictures.
You don't use Lightroom at all?
No.
So when you edit a picture, an image in Lightroom, and you go, "Ooh, I want to submit this to competition," how do you get that to competition from Lightroom?
I export it to
Right.
a folder in
Right.
my pictures.
Correct.
Yes.
So if you want to send me a picture, you can export it to a folder anywhere you want. You can put it just on your desktop. You can put it in a folder, whatever you want.
Right.
Then you open the email that you want to use. Open the email that you want to use and say, send to jonesy41@gmail.com. And then there should be a place to click for an attachment. There's a little paper clip.
Right.
You use Gmail?
Yeah.
Your other email, not your Comcast, but your other email address is Gmail.
Yeah.
So there's a paper clip at the bottom of the body of the email. And you click on the paper clip and it'll say, what do you want to attach? And it'll make you navigate to that folder, wherever you put that picture. And you click on it and it'll attach to the body of your email.
All right.
And then you hit send.
Yeah.
The other thing we can do hi Frank, and hi Mickey, I didn't say hi to you yet. The other thing you can do tonight, if you want, open up your Lightroom, have your image that you want, and we can work on it together because we only have one other image tonight. Hi, Alan. Hi, Leo.
Yeah, I haven't really looked to see any image to work on.
Oh, okay. I thought you had one and you just didn't know how to get it to me.
Because I didn't think I would be able to send it anyway, so I didn't. But yeah, that's I'm sorry.
No, you absolutely can send it. You don't need to use your Comcast.net at all.
Okay.
No,
Thank you. I will work on that. I'm sort of I'm challenged in that area.
Well, I don't think you really are. I think your confidence isn't very high.
Oh, okay.
I think you do better than you think you do.
Are you looking for images, Joni?
I would love images because I think that's like, I thought the last week was so
Yeah,
much fun. I
yeah.
mean, we're going to do more technical stuff tonight, which, you know, some people may like, and some people may go, ugh, this is too dry. I don't care about this stuff. But I think that if you have a problem, that some of the things that we go over tonight, maybe go, oh, maybe that's why this is happening. So we'll see.
So the question again, I could send you something that you could be working on. If
Oh
you
yeah,
want.
but you know what? If you didn't send it to me already now, I'm not going to download it.
Don't worry about it, then.
Class. So you know what we can do though? You can share your screen and we can work on your image. You can do it. You know, you can say, well, I want to do this. How do I do it? And we can point you around if you want to do it that way.
No, I was just wondering how somebody else would. So as always, I look for other methodologies on the way people do things. You've presented quite a few different avenues of direction, which has been very interesting because you get into a habit, and when you're in this habit, you sort of keep on that kind of trajectory. And
Well,
you know,
clearly I'm in the same situation. You've seen a few instances in the last few weeks that.
but it's always good to look at somebody else's methodology,
Yeah.
and that's what I've always enjoyed about listening to lectures.
Right.
How somebody else does something, like Marshall over there, Mr. Mickey.
Hi, Mickey.
He sits around and just sort of absorbs everything. You know, he's just like a sponge. Hi, Mickey.
Hi there, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sure can.
Don't pick on me, I'm the oldest guy around.
I doubt it.
That might be so, but so what?
Mickey, can I? Do you mind if I ask how old you are?
Let me guess, 83.
Yeah, thanks. I'm winding up, I'll be, let's see, what's the date today? A couple of
February
months down the road,
27th.
I'll be 85 years old.
I was
Ah.
2 years off.
I'm still.
What the hell
I'm
is
still-
2 years when you're our age?
Yeah, but I'm still active using my camera
Nice.
and brain.
Hi, Fred. Hi, Susan. Hi, Mary. Hi, Paul. I don't know if Paul's full on board yet. I just let him in.
So a couple of years ago, Mickey took on trying to figure out how to do video.
Wow.
And he tried to make it
I'm scared of that.
sync with his still work. And you know, how did that end up? Did you do a good job?
A couple of times I've had stuff published and it's on websites. It's been used, yes.
So here's somebody at his age just plugging away and doing something totally different. So it's not beyond.
Tom Aprilli, look at you. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh my
No
gosh,
problem.
Tom Aprilli?
I know he's been asking me for the links, and I thought he was on
Yeah.
our list because I thought you told me in the beginning, and I assumed you were on my list. And then when I double checked it this week, I'm like, you're not on my SIG email list. I never had you down there. I don't know if you didn't tell me or if I dropped
Well,
the ball.
I decided one way or the other. I could never make up my mind. I really wanted to be part of it, but it's 3 nights in a row of photo stuff.
Oh, it can be. Listen, I get it. Hey, listen, it's 7 o'clock. Frank, do you mind monitoring, letting people in? Are you co-host? You are.
I've got it, I'm co-hosting.
Okay, great. So I'm going to ask you all to turn off your video and audio for now, and hopefully Phyllis will come in. Jeez, I don't see her yet. I'm going to share my screens because I was saying at the beginning a few minutes ago that we have a fairly technical night tonight. Just cleaning up some stuff here. Hold on. So my screen, I can see what I want to see. We have a little bit more technical stuff to go through tonight, and I hope to do some more editing at the end of the night if we have time, because I don't know about everybody else, but I thought that's the fun stuff. This is a little bit dry for me anyway, and I'm gonna, unfortunately, if I look down a lot and pause, I am referring to some notes because some of these settings I don't go into a whole lot or very often. It's kind of set it and forget it for the most part, with the exception of one main one. But tonight we're going to go over Lightroom preferences, the catalog settings, a couple other things actually, and keyboard shortcuts. And when I send out the links tomorrow and the notes, you're going to have 2 sets of notes, 2 attachments. One will be the set of my notes, and one will be a keyboard shortcut list that somebody else had made up that I found that I could share with you. if you want to look into it a little bit more. I had one quick, and going, and speaking of the links, so what we did was I did create a YouTube channel for Gateway last week, and I created an email address and a Gateway YouTube. So if you go into YouTube and you search Gateway Camera Club, you might have to put Framingham in there because I believe there is another Gateway Camera Club, but the other place on our website now, and I can certainly show you this because I'm sharing screen anyway, on our website, here we go. And mine looks a little different because I'm an administrator, but if you go to at the top of the Gateway menu system, resources and links, the LrC SIG, you will see all the lessons we've done so far are listed here. And then if you click on the video, it will open up the video. Oh, isn't that beautiful? I know. And if you click on the links, you'll see the links that I have attached to that. So those are all been, now last week's I had no notes because we did a couple of things that were in the notes on the week before on the develop module part 2, the batch editing and plugins, round tripping. So that part of last week's was in the notes from the week before, and then the rest was editing. So there's no notes that I wrote on that. A couple people have asked me to send them the links that they want to download. You can't download from YouTube unless you have YouTube Premium, which I think is $11.99 a month or something. Most people, I don't think, have that. So if you want me to, I absolutely will, if you really want to have the download. But the reason I put them on YouTube is that so you didn't have to take up hard drive space. These will always be there. They're not going away. And by the time they go away, Lightroom will be so different that they'll be obsolete. So if you really, really, really want, yes, there is a Gateway in the UK, Fred. I remember that from when you were researching that in years past. So if you really, really, really want me to email you the link, I did save them on a hard drive just as a backup. And I have to save them on a hard drive in order to get them into YouTube anyway. So I do have them. I personally didn't think it was necessary, but if that's the way you want to work, I absolutely will email them to you. And 2 people have asked me to do that. I haven't done it yet, but I will. Those 2 people I will send them to. They know who they are. So in order to access the preferences, if you're on a Mac, you would start up at the Lightroom. Oh, Phyllis isn't here. I was so proud of myself. Does everybody see my arrow is now big and red? Phyllis asked me to change that. I don't think she's here yet anyway. So if you go into Lightroom Classic on a Mac and you see preferences, pretty self-explanatory, the preferences dialog box will open up. If you're on a Windows, you'd have to go, there's an edit, and in edit is preferences. And that's where you would go on a Windows machine to get this. And there are 9 tabs, I think, across the top, and each do something a little different. And they're sort of self-explanatory, but sometimes the wording can get a little, a little confusing. I even found that when trying to research that for this class. I will say I'm going to do a fairly high-level overview of the preferences, and mostly because the Adobe Lightroom preferences default, the way you opened them and started them when you first opened Lightroom for the first time, if you haven't changed anything, and there's a way to set those back to the defaults if you want to. I didn't write it down in the notes. I'll add it to the notes. That if you want to go back to the all Lightroom defaults, is a way to do that. But they work pretty well for most people, with a few exceptions. So if I'm skipping something, it's because it's either not germane, not that important, or you can figure it out on your own. I mean, like, obviously you open it up in general, the first thing is what language. Most of us prefer English. The settings show splash screen during startup. If it's checked, that means when you start up Lightroom, you're going to see the splash screen. If you uncheck it, you won't see that. Lightroom will just open up. This is a little bit important if you have default catalog, and when starting up, use this catalog. If you have more than one catalog, you want, for me, I have 2 catalogs I work with, the one for class and the one that's my own regular master catalog. So I want Lightroom to prompt me, which one do I want to start open during Lightroom? If you click on the arrows, there's drop down choices of my recent catalogs here, or you can always load the last one that you opened, and that's the default. That's what that, and it'll go to whichever the last one is. In this case, it's my Lightroom SIG catalog. But I don't always want to come into that, so I want it to prompt me, and that's a choice you have to make. You can the two major choices are load the most recent or prompt me when starting, or choose one of the catalogs that are recently used. Oops, I did that wrong. This is a key one in the import options. This is regarding when you're importing your photos, you have some choices here. I think this is the key one. You want to click and make sure it should be by default. You want to show an import dialog box when a memory card is detected by Lightroom. So you put a memory card in a card reader that's attached to your computer or in a slot that's on your computer. You want Lightroom to automatically open the import box. You don't have to go to where a file, open, whatever, import, or go down to the import button. It automatically does it. I'm not even sure about the select current or previous. It's a default. I've never changed it. This says ignore camera generated folder names when using naming folders. I don't want to ignore the camera generated folder. I mean, I could, but I don't. The next one is important if you shoot JPEG and RAW, which I do not. But if you shoot JPEG and RAW, you might want to check this box to treat JPEG files next to the RAW files as separate photos, so you see them both in your library next to each other. Replace embedded previews with standard previews is something that will make your computer run a little faster and less battery space. This is recommended mostly if you're on a laptop to check this that's not plugged into a power source, because it does wear down battery time. And by keeping these embedded previews, which are higher images than the standard. So if you're working on a laptop, it's recommended that you check that. And show the parent folder during import. When I'm importing photos, I like to see on the right-hand destination side what the parent folders are, so I can choose which folder to put my import in. These are sounds. There's a whole bunch of choices in here. I don't play any sounds. You can certainly add sounds that do things at different times. And that's the general. Presets. We talked about presets, I think in week 1 of the develop module. Presets are a set of actions that get applied, develop settings that get applied to your image while you're editing. You can apply them to a whole bunch if you're batch editing. Well, you can also automatically apply them during import every single time. So when it says global, this is happening all the time unless you change this before you import something. I don't personally do anything but the Adobe default. If you want to learn more tech details about this, you can click this blue link and read about it. And if you open up this drop down, you can go by camera settings, and I click override global settings, and you can choose your camera and do some specific. Why isn't that opening? This should be opening. Hold on. Why isn't that? All right, something's wonky here. I should be able to click on this and see a whole bunch of cameras. And that may be because I'm on an image that's not mine. I don't know. Let's see. Nope, I'm not sure why that's not doing that right now, but this, and it's worked in the past. When I click on this, it opens this box up, and you'll get camera choices. You can get other settings. Again, I think most people use the Adobe default. The thing about it, I can't get the list. So here's the presets. These are the presets that some come with Lightroom automatically. These are developed settings, and you can see different types in here. And I bought some and I've made my own. So these presets could be applied on all images every time you import. I don't see a reason for that. I feel like you're more likely going to be removing stuff from photos, then this would save you any time. Let's see. I have to check my notes now to get down. I'm not sure about the visibility. Again, it's a default thing and I don't have any notes on it. The location, this may be unchecked, and you probably want to store your presets with this catalog so that if you ever lose your catalog and you back it up, your presets are going to stay with it. And those are a lot of developed settings that you probably don't want to lose. So it's recommended that you check that. And all of these, again, these are different templates with different things. I have no idea. I don't use it. I've never touched it. I didn't see anything in my research about this, about what people do with these. I mean, you could read them, I suppose, and just do a Google search, but I've never touched them. Now, the external editing we've talked about a little bit, because we did this a little bit last week. This is where we're round tripping. These are when we're going from Lightroom into another software program and using that to edit. That's called an external editing. The top portion is just for Photoshop when you're going from Lightroom to Photoshop. We've talked about the TIFF versus PSD. I prefer TIFF. It's more recognized universally. The color space, I think the default is Pro Photo RGB, and I'm not going to get deep into color space, but there's different levels of colors in different applications. The Adobe RGB is pretty standard, but Pro Photo RGB has more color space, more gamuts than Adobe RGB color space does. The issue is there's no other printing, no other screen. Nobody else besides Lightroom right now is using this color gamut. So it can actually get a little wonky when you print if you're working in Pro Photo RGB. So it is recommended by all the research that I did to use the Adobe RGB color space. 16 bits is the 16 and 8. 16 is more bits, better picture resolution. I think that's only a concern if you're printing, but somewhere I had done a standard of 300. I've never changed it. And same with the zip compression. You can do no compression or zip compression. And again, some video somewhere along the way, that was what was recommended, and I've just never changed it. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky, the additional external editor area. And I've got pretty clear instructions in the notes, but this is where I was talking about a couple of weeks. I don't know if you remember, all of my pictures kept coming up as Helicon. And I didn't know why that was. Well, I figured out why that was. I have several presets in here for different plugins that I use. And whatever plugin you have on there, I've set it up so that a naming convention, when I go from Lightroom into Helicon or any of the other plugins, it will come back with this naming convention, the image name, the image number, and a preset for a naming. And I set that up under, why is this spinning wheel of doom here in the middle? I didn't even touch anything. I'm not even doing anything. I hope everybody's video and audio are shut off. Maybe I should shut
we don't see the spinning disc.
Oh, that's too bad. It's there. Trust me, I can't do anything right now. You don't know you can't see my cursor, huh? Have you been able to see my cursor, Alan, during the program?
We see the cursor, but we don't have the spinning disc of doom.
Okay, all right. Well, I have the spinning wheel of doom right now. So what I've done is under custom settings, I've made a preset, and like I think I showed a second ago, I have one for each program that I use, and I'm still doing TIFF. I'm still doing Adobe RAW 16 bits, 300 zip. But what I learned this week is what you need to do if you know you're going to round trip. Here we go. Here's my custom settings down here. So I did a custom preset for each one of these. I have the file name, the sequence number, and then whatever program. This one happens to be Sharpen AI, is the last one I did. And the way that you do that is and I'll make one right now. If I want to choose Topaz AI, which is a new one, so I'm going to choose in the box to create this preset, and it's going to open up. This is my Finder window, so this is my my hard drives, my internal drives, and you're going to go to the applications folder, and I'm going to go. I know this is my Topaz AI is right here. I'm going to choose that. And then I'm going to go down to the custom settings and I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to move my paperwork so I can type and put Topaz AI, click done. And then I'm going to click here and I'm going to save the current settings as a new preset. And I'm going to title it Topaz AI. Oh, it's already in use. Are you kidding me? Oh, which one didn't I do? Well, that's how I did the Topaz AI one. I thought I saved that. You know what? I think this one's wrong. I'm gonna delete that preset. I think that's one before. And now I'm gonna choose. I believe that's the problem. And now I'm gonna say save current as a new preset and do Topaz AI. So now if I go from, take an image from, like, take this image and I edit in Topaz, where is it? Topaz AI, which I'm not going to do because it'll take too much time. When it comes back to Lightroom, the name of it will be Magic Wings 57 Topaz AI.tiff or TIF.tiff. So I'll be able to see two images, the original raw file and the TIFF file next to each other. And I'll be able to tell which one went where, if you can't see it by visually, by looking at it. The tricky thing about this is you have to know which plugin you're going to go to, and you have to change it here so that it uses the right naming convention. If you don't do that, it will do whatever naming convention is here. So technically you even need a Photoshop one, because the Photoshop ones. All right, so, okay, so it won't do that. It's using this one. I think the Photoshop comes back as, the PS here is just because it said it was for photo shoot. It was a first year photo shoot, but it just comes back edited .tiff1. All right. I'm going to stop there because that one was kind of a big one. And I don't know how many people, I mean, you can clear all your presets and have none of that happen and it will just come back edited. But does anybody have any questions? I see there's something in chat. Let me open that up. What if you go to two external editors? Does the naming convention come back as the last one used? Yes. Yes. Like Beth, typically what I do, I don't really go very often. Gigapixel, I think, might be the only one. I typically will round trip to Photoshop, do my external editors there so that I have them in layers. If I'm going to sharpen and denoise it, or if I'm going to do something with a Topaz AI or Topaz 2, like a texture and make it a black and white. I think I did that a couple of weeks ago. So it's usually coming back from Photoshop. I'm not typically going from Lightroom. And if you are, let's say you're going to take an image into Gigapixel, and then you're going to come back and take it into AI, the same picture. You're going to have three versions of it. One, the raw version, one, the Gigapixel, and one, the Gigapixel that was taken into Topaz Studio for a I can't even think of the word. I'm like, what's the word I want? Texture or something like that, a special effect. So you'll have three versions of the image in that case. I hope that answered your question. Any other questions? I'm gonna take a sip of water. File editing, again, never change anything in here ever. Always have used the Lightroom default settings. Interface is how you want Photoshop to look. You might want to change the font size to large. This is one of the things, if you change this, you do have to close Lightroom and restart it for it to take effect. You can swap your left and right panels. You can do it with just the develop while you're in the develop module, or all in any module. Swap left and right panel groups. So whatever's on the left side is on the right and vice versa. Put this down here. Screen colors, you can change these things, background colors. Again, all of these things, I've just never changed anything. Just if you're curious, badges are the little things that we see on the images, usually for editing. They're usually in the upper right-hand corner or the lower left-hand corner. So you can, in the film strip, which is the bottom area, not the center preview area, you can take the badges off. If I unclick that, you can see now there's no badges on the film strip pictures, but if I click on them. So all these choices are how you see things in the film strip. And a couple of tweaks. Some people like whenever they click on the picture, it's always going to take them to the center. If you unclick this and I click to zoom, it's going to zoom to the center up here or wherever you can see it's changing. But if I click this on, if I check it, it's always going to zoom. But here, I'm still going to, oh, see now, here I'm going to go to the center. I thought it was always going to take me to the center. So see, I don't know. Doesn't that make sense to you? Zoom, clicked point. Oh, so, all right, it's the opposite. Wherever I click is going to be the center of the picture. If I unclick it, it's always going to bring you to the center, I guess. It's not doing what I think it's going to do either way. So there you go. That's how good I am. Don't trust me. Performance is another really techy area. And this is going to change dramatically based on whatever your system is that's configured. So I really can't even go into all of this. One thing I know is that you want to use your graphic processor. And you can turn it off or you can make it custom. I don't know the difference. I've just always used it and put it on auto. You can click on the blue area link that says learn more about that. And if you want more performance tips, there's even another area that if you click on it, it'll take you to more techie stuff. And for some reason, I could be wrong. I thought that maximum size was supposed to be between 25 and 50. I don't know why it's 125. I don't think that's right. I think I changed that. And maybe that was a cache thing. Hold on. Maybe that was, I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to cache thing in catalog settings. I might be getting confused already. So all of this information will depend on what your system is, how your system is built. It's very system specific. So it's not helpful to me to go over what I do because it could be something completely different for you. And there is more information to read about it. Lightroom Sync has to do with the Creative Cloud. This is my Adobe ID, my name. I am a subscribed person. I click off prevent system from falling asleep during sync because I believe when your screen goes to sleep, the syncing stops. I don't know much about the rest of this, specifically location. I don't specify a location for Lightroom synced images. I don't do that. So this all has to do with when you take a collection and you click on sync, which we haven't done collections yet. We've only kind of touched the surface, but when we take a collection and we check it to sync it to the cloud, how will Lightroom perform certain things? The display is if you have more than one monitor, you can choose what monitor. I only have one monitor. And network is if you're working at work in a network or some other network environment, not your internet, but we're a network of computers. And you may need a network administrator to give you a username and password to use that. Again, I don't work in a network. I'm working at home on my own computer. So that's the big picture on preferences. You can see that some little things will affect something, especially performance. If you're running really, really slow, you might want to either look into this or call Adobe directly and say, can you look at these? And they'll find out what your system is and what you have, and they'll be able to walk you through these things here. Okay, see. So you know what? Let me look at my catalog. We're going to go to catalog settings next anyway. You get to the catalog settings the same way as preferences. In Mac, it's on Lightroom Classic, and for Windows, it would be under the edit. Catalog settings, feel like, you know what? Yeah, Fred, I'm pretty sure I meant to change this to 25, not 125. And I'm gonna click that and make sure I don't have to reopen Lightroom, is sticky. Yeah, it is, okay. And I had some problems with the external editor earlier, and I'm wondering if that's why. It was wicked slow. I'm not gonna test that theory right now. So catalog settings. Now, catalog settings and preferences, the major difference is the preferences will work no matter what catalog you're in. The catalog settings you can change. If you have more than one catalog, you can have one set of settings for one catalog and a different set of settings for another catalog. So these will not stay the same unless you're using the same defaults. If you change anything, it'll only change for this catalog if you have. So that's the difference between preference settings. Preferences are for all Lightroom, no matter what catalog you're in, and catalog settings are specific to the catalog. An important part of this is knowing where your catalog lives. This is the location of where your Lightroom catalog is. If you don't know where your catalog file is, you can go to catalog settings general, and it tells you, you follow this path. This happens to be on an external hard drive because I've been traveling to the Cape and working on preparing class while I'm down there as well as here. So I have put this in. This catalog is small enough it can handle it. And if I don't understand this path, I can click the show button and it will show me I'm in my, and this is again a Mac. So on the left side, this is my external hard drive, Lightroom files. And here I have my Lightroom SIG catalog. And if I click on this and open it, here's my actual catalog file right here. My backup happens to be in the same place. I don't recommend that typically, but again, because I'm traveling, I didn't want more hard drives. That's where they live. And I know that, but if you didn't know where your catalog was for some reason, you could follow this path on your, in me, it's Finder, Lightroom files, Lightroom SIG catalog, and there it is. Or hit the show button and it will take you there. I know that this file name is Lightroom SIG. I created it. The last time I backed it up was a couple of days ago. Optimize, I have it, I guess it optimizes every time. And the size of this catalog. Now backing it up, you have some choices of when you want to back it up. I back it up every time Lightroom exits. However, the last couple of times I used it, I didn't really make any changes to Lightroom. So just to save time to shut things down, I have a choice to skip backup this time, which I have done. You can choose to never back it up once a month when you exit, once a week, once a day, whenever next Lightroom exits. So you can choose by the drop-down menu, you can choose when you want to back it up. Hello, clicking. Okay. Going to my notes again. File handling. So this lets you, I'm going to read this a little bit because this is a little, this lets you change catalog settings in Lightroom related to your files. So you have standard previews, which is what you see when you open an image, the preview. And most people set it at auto. You can choose the pixel size of your monitor, but if you choose auto, then Lightroom will determine what the appropriate preview size is based on your screen size. You can choose different qualities of preview, and this is sort of like in your camera, JPEG, you have different qualities of JPEGs. You can do high, medium, or low. Medium is what most people recommend. And if you create one-on-one previews, which are higher, bigger files, you can choose to discard those previews after a week, a day, or never. And usually after 30 days, I'm not always going back and editing. And what will happen is, if you're in the library mode, it'll show you a preview. And when you go into develop, you want a one-to-one preview, which is a higher quality preview. There'll be a slight delay. If you don't have that one-to-one preview already built in the image, it'll build it when you take your image from the library into the develop module, but you'll see a slight hesitation. You might see a little warning, a little box that says loading, and it depends on how fast your system is, but it might be a second or two before you get the full one-on-one preview that you want to see in order to edit the image. So I build one-on-one when I import them usually, and I discard them after 30 days because I'm not, if I go back and edit, it's not such an inconvenience that I'm going back. And you can rebuild them too. There's a way to rebuild them. And then I have smart previews on some of my images, and the total size of all of my smart previews takes up 748 megabytes. So if this gets really big, there's a way that you can go and delete your smart previews as well. And then this is just saying when you're importing, I always want to start at file number 1. And I think if it'll tell you how many photos you imported in your catalog after an import. Metadata, we know that metadata is information that gets to attach the files about our image. And again, I have to read my notes because I don't do too much with this. This is metadata. Offers suggestions from recently entered values. So if you start typing something that you recently put in, it will automatically kind of auto-complete it. And then if you don't like the suggestions, you can actually go in here and clear your whole list. It includes develops, these are all self-explanatory, I think. Address lookup, if you turn this off, you may not be able to use the map function, the map module. And automatically detect faces, again, choices of yours. If you are going to sort your images by people's names, you probably want to detect face images, and you can apply people's names to all the faces in your catalog. That was the worst part of the techie part, I think. There's more information in my notes that I'm really nervous about how much time we're going to use tonight with this stuff. All right. The other thing, we have talked about this, but I wanted to go into a little bit more detail, and I did put notes in it, making an identity plate. The identity plate is this part right here. This tells me which catalog I'm in. And in order to edit or create an identity plate, I think, again, in the Windows, it's under the edit, and Mac, it's under Lightroom Classic Identity Plate Setup. And you can use an Adobe ID. You can just let it say Lightroom Classic, or you can personalize it. And the way you personalize it is down here in this black box. Whatever it says, you can highlight here. You can type whatever you want to call your catalog. You can use a whole bunch of different fonts down here. You can choose to be regular, italic, bold, different styles. You can choose the font size. And then you can do not only your identity plate for your SIG, but also you can match or not match. Your modules can be, so I have them matching in this one, nothing fancy, but I could change them all to Arial black, let's say, italic. Oh, I can't do italic with Arial black, maybe just Arial italic, and make the font smaller, let's say, which is too small for me to read. I'm going to cancel that. I don't want to do that. So you can just customize this identity plate that way. Nothing too hard, but just so you know. And watermarks, if you want to watermark your images, they will go out on your export dialog box. When you export an image, one of the choices is adding a watermark. Well, here you can create your watermark that you want to add. And again, we have a lot of choices. You can actually choose if you have, there's companies out there that will create a watermark for you. You purchase them and they'll send you a JPEG or a PNG file. So if you save that on your computer, you can go to that folder and choose it, navigate to the folder that your JPEG or PNG is, and you can add that. You can have text options here for what you want your text to look like when you type it in this box over here. And again, style, where you want to align it, left, center, right, what color you want it to be. You can choose the opacity, you can offset it. These are all different. Oh, this is the shadow for it. You can put a shadow on it. This is the opacity of the watermark itself. And the biggest thing here is you can choose where to put it. You can see it just jumped up to the upper left, top center, upper right. You can choose where you want to put it on the image in these anchor points. I guess you could do it horizontal. I don't know what this inset part is, and I don't know what this proportional part is, to be honest with you. And you can do a signature. You can do, there's all sorts of, I mean, you could use your own signature in Photoshop. You could create a PNG of your signature and import there. Okay. Hey, we're going through this faster than I thought. I was overwhelmed by this. Because really the last thing I have here now is just keyboard shortcuts. And I'm going to give you some of the ones that I use most often, and then I'm going to send you an attachment. And there's a link. There's two things. There's a link in here right to the Adobe website that has keyboard shortcuts. And then I think it's Lightroom Queen might have been the one I'm sending as an attachment. And the other thing about keyboard shortcuts is a couple of tips. Most of the menus at the top, if you're going to do something, create a virtual copy, you can obviously do things more than one way. I right click and I create virtual copy. You can go to photo. Is that where it was? Create virtual copy. And if you look here on the right side, there's two keyboards. This is the command key or the control key for Windows, and this is the apostrophe. So I could go up to the menu, create virtual copy, and click on it, or I could learn the keyboard shortcut and use the keyboard shortcut. One tip that I had gotten many years ago, and I instituted for the things, excuse me, that I do most often, is if you have a keyboard shortcut that you want to learn, or a group of them, you might want to take 3 keyboard shortcuts and put them on a Post-it note, put it right on your computer or right on your desk where you can easily see it. And then for a week, let's say, you're only going to access that function using those keyboard shortcuts. And after a while, you'll just get used to it. And then when you're really comfortable with that and you want to learn 3 more, put 3 more on a Post-it note and kind of gradually learn keyboard shortcuts that way. I think that using them can quicken your workflow. Let's see. I feel like there's another question in here, but I don't see it. Bigger cache uses more of your hard drive. It's detrimental to laptops with limited storage. I'm sure that's true. And oh, the disadvantage to, okay, you guys were talking to each other. That's good. So some common keyboard shortcuts. If I'm in the development module, which I am now, if I want to get back to library, the grid module, what the heck? So I just did it and it's not doing it. Okay, if I want to get back into the library module and the grid form, G. If you want to go back to library module in the loop form, all right, let's go back to this. All right, now I don't even know what I just did. I think I did something that I didn't want to do. What the L was, I'm in the develop module. I want to go to library in the L. Oh, it's interesting. L does something different than I thought it was. Oh, it's because E is the keyboard shortcut. If I'm in the grid view and I want to go just to that one image, I'd go to E. But you can also in the grid view just double click on it. The grid E is the shortcut. Oh, L was something else. And from there, if I want to go to develop, it's the D. And now I'm in the develop module. Holding command or control key and a letter does certain things. And I think these are pretty common to a lot of programs, not just Lightroom. Like Command Z will undo the last action that you did. And I believe you can either do Shift Command Z will redo it back again. So you can go back and forth. But if you keep doing Command Z, it will go in reverse what you've just done. If you're doing a selection and you want to select everything in the film strip, let's say, Command A will select them all. If you want to copy something, it's Command or Control C. If you want to cut something, it's Command and Control X. If you want to paste it, Command and Control V. I think those are common keyboard shortcuts that we know in a lot of programs. If you hit the Tab key, it hides the side panels. And if you do the Shift tab, it hides all panels. And if you want a full screen, that's basically full screen. And then you do F, you can go full screen and get rid of everything except the image. And if I escape that and do Shift tab, it puts it back to where I was. There are the left and right panels you can make them wider, smaller, or larger. But there's a limit to how large you can make it. On the left side, that's about it. If you want to make it larger for some reason, maybe you have something really long you need to read, holding the Option or Alt key and then clicking on the double bars, you can drag it as far as you want. Same with the right panel, clicking Option and dragging. You can make that as big as, so you can make those panels bigger than just clicking and dragging. That'll make them a little bit bigger, but you have greater range. You have to get that thing just right. That's as far as it goes without hitting the Shift. If I actually need the Option, I hit the Option, it goes bigger. If you're in a brush of any kind, a mask, let's say, brush for whatever reason, and you can see the size in my cursor right now, but if I hit the right bracket key, it's making it bigger, and I hit the left bracket key and it makes it smaller. And that's true in Photoshop as well. Any brush that you're using, the left and right bracket keys will make it bigger and smaller. The T key hides the toolbar at the bottom and brings it back. The / brings the filter menu. I don't know if you can see me turning that on and off. These filters down here can turn them on and off. And if you use the I key, there's information about your photo that should show up. And this gives you more information, camera information, and turns off. So there's 3 cycles that you can get information about each image, and it will change when you move images. That's the I. And specifically in the crop tool, there's a bunch of keyboard shortcuts. The X key will toggle it from vertical to horizontal. Arrow keys in the crop tool will move it to the right or to the left. And you can do it yourself anyway. You can move it this way and that way with your mouse. The O key will cycle through the different types of overlays for crop. And if you hold, let me go back to my, there we go. If you hold the shift key, when changing your crop, it keeps this, supposedly keeps the center the same. You're cropping from the center. Versus if I, especially when I have this off, when it's and if I hit the escape, I get out of it. If I close, I get out of it. Typically, I hit the escape key because I know that's this keyboard shortcut and I get that information off. Oh my gosh, we didn't even cover an hour, people. Did I go too fast?
By the way, do you realize that you cropped all the images in your film strip?
No, you know what? We did that last week, right? Because I had Command A, but I changed them all. So they're all back to normal.
Yeah, and you
You're
have
right.
auto save.
You're right. I remember I did that last week, Leo. I did something and it affected all. I think I was bringing them all into Photoshop or something when I was round
Yep.
tripping. And I had like 10 images or something like that. Yeah, thank you. Does anybody have anything about preferences, catalogs, identity, or watermarking, or keyboard shortcuts that they want to review? I may not have the answers, as we know, maybe somebody else will.
Well, Joni, you didn't talk about it may be in your notes, I'm not sure, about the bottom option in the catalog settings in the metadata tab about clicking in if you want to write data or write date or time changes into the raw files. Why
So
would you do that, or what is it there for?
this bottom here, the XF, write date or time changes into proprietary WRI files.
Yeah.
So I do have it in my notes. And what I think it is, my notes are in out of order now. So let me make sure I have the right page. Catalog settings.
Because I notice I get that question all the time when I'm going in and doing edits and stuff, and sometimes I check it, sometimes I don't, because I was checking it because I thought I had to, but you don't have
Checking,
to.
I do have it in my notes. Checking right date or time changes into proprietary raw files checkbox lets Lightroom write new dates and times to proprietary raw files when you use the metadata edit capture time command to change a photo's capture time metadata. And I don't do that because I don't want to change the capture time and date in my metadata.
Okay.
You know how sometimes you have competitions that they go, you have to have taken the image by X date and we'll check your metadata. And they're trusting that you don't change it. I never knew the way to change it, but I did learn that this is the way that you can change it.
Okay. That would probably
That's how I
explain.
understand it.
Okay.
So you have it checked and you get a warning box when you change
Yeah.
something?
And I always ignore it, like just don't bother, but I never knew why I was getting it.
Right.
Okay, now I know. Thank you.
Yep.
Suggestion.
Yes.
When you do change things, go back and see what it did, and then make another change after you're satisfied. Because if you start checking more than one, it tends to confuse you.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Don't make a bunch of changes. You know, do them one by one, like scientific research, right?
Yeah, sure.
No, but that's what you are. You're isolating the change and you don't want to, yeah, that makes sense. Is Mark Sandler here? I can check. Because he did send me a picture this week. He's not here. Okay. I'm not going to play with his picture. I had a couple editing things here we could do, but Lois, you had emailed me that you have, let's get this picture up.
I'm here.
I know, I did see that you came in today. Why isn't this changing? There we go. This, I don't think this was the original crop. For some reason, again, my computer is slow. Lois had a suggestion. I was working on showing, we were talking about round tripping and taking an image into Photoshop. And what I was specifically doing was content aware fill to make, extend the image out of the background of the image to make it clean. And I did end up playing with it this week. And this is, I did end up coming, there we go. I did end up fixing it better. What? No, this is like something is, oh, did I do a crop on these? Oh, my history, my computer's slow. So when my computer is running slow and I go into develop, usually I have to do it for one picture only. I have to wait like a minute maybe. And again, it's probably something in those performance settings. I probably should call Adobe and find out what am I doing. Maybe should I change that cache, Fred, to make it lower? Because in reading my notes this week, it said somewhere between 25 and 50 is a good place. But maybe for my computer, that's too much. Is that why this is slowing down, do you think? Is anybody out there?
So somewhere along the way, it was recommended in some class I took somewhere, I don't know, to set 10 gigabytes for photos and 5 gigabytes for video cache. I don't use video cache much at all, but so I don't know if, 5 or 10 or 25, I don't know what the appropriate amount is. Mine was set at, originally, before tonight, it was set at 50. And I thought, well, Fred says this is at 5, and I thought, well, I think I'll lower it. So I don't know what the recommended amount is.
Right. And I've got the spinning wheel of doom again here. So I'm a little, there we go. Now I'm all cleaned up. Okay, so it wasn't in here, it was in performance. And I think I was 10 before I did this. So let's change, oh, Mark Sandler's coming in. Let's change this to 10 and see if that helps us at all. I don't know if it will, but I'm in the develop module. Let's go here. I don't think, yeah, let's go, that cropped it. Let's go back. It won't even let me go into history and change it to the original picture.
Mm-hmm. Judy,
Hi, Mark.
That's an adorable picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. It's adorable kid.
Did you get my text message?
Maybe I don't check my text once the class starts. I do have a text message.
Oh, I'll tell you. Oh, I said,
Oh, I did. Yeah. I see it. Wait on your picture. So we just finished going through all the technical stuff, and I was just making sure people didn't have any other questions on that. And I said, is Mark here? It was like I said, like 3 or 4 minutes ago, because I was going to start to do some editing. So I wasn't going to do it without you here. It didn't make sense
Thank
to
you.
me at all.
Thank you.
But in the meantime, my computer froze up, and Lois had emailed me this week about a way to use this content aware tool a little bit better. So I thought, let's see if Photoshop is open. I think it is. Yep. So Lois, are you there?
Yes,
wanna
I'm
guide-
here. I'm
Guide-
here.
Okay. So
I can, if you like, I can show screen and show you some cases where
Yeah.
I don't know,
That'd be-
can I share screen on this?
no, I have to. You can. I just had to stop sharing first. Oh, Mark, you're all dressed up.
Yes,
Hi, Peter. I didn't know you were here.
Jody, I
y-
dressed up just for you.
Sure you did. Okay, so
Um,
Lois was going to show us a technique that she has found successful.
Mhm.
And this is technically is a Photoshop lesson, but since we were working on it last week, she thought it might be useful to us.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
I can.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. What I did, this is a very unimpressive photo that I took a long time ago at Ellis Island. And I should have taken it with a wider angle lens, but I couldn't. I should have stood back farther, but I couldn't. And I didn't like that these doors were cut off. Okay. So what I did was I used this technique that I'm going to show you in just a minute, and I changed this photo into this.
Wow.
And notice that I'm not missing any pieces of a door anymore. Okay, here I have everything cut off, and here everything's back on. Okay, so the way I did that was, first of all, I took it into Photoshop. That will take just a moment here. Okay, and the first thing I did was to crop it. And I cropped out the problem. Okay, so I came back to about here and about here and this. Okay, now I still have this here, which is a problem. So what I did was I selected something that I liked from the other side, which was this. And I just selected all of that. That piece right there. And then I said, edit, copy. Ooh, why did it do that? It wasn't supposed to.
It was cut. You hit cut by mistake.
Oh,
So you
okay.
can Command Z
All right.
or Control Z.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's supposed to be edit, copy, and then edit, paste special, paste in place. Now what I have is 2 copies of that right here, but you can't see them. Okay,
But you
now
can see it on your layers. You can see that it made a
you can
separate
see it on
layer
the
of it.
layer. Actually, my layers underneath all this. Wait a minute, see if I can, yes, okay.
So
there
the
are my-
layers are down there. Yeah.
Okay, so then I can go to edit, transform, and flip horizontal. So now I have this piece backwards, and I hit the move tool and I bring it right over here. I put it right there. I might need to adjust the size just a little bit. So I go to edit, transform, scale. Make this maybe just a tiny little bit smaller. See, it's not quite lining up perfectly here. Wait a minute, I need to move that. Okay, this is in the way of what I'm trying to, okay, there. And then basically I just color this in with a brush and with the right color. And what I've done is I've taken a piece from this right here, flipped it over and made it completely, what am I trying to say?
Symmetrical.
Thank you. That was the word I wasn't coming up with. It's completely symmetrical now because I copied that.
Cool.
Any
I
questions
did-
on that?
I did try that in my baby photo, but the
Uh-huh.
lighting on the right side, because my flash was on the right, but the lighting was a little bit higher on the right side than the left side, and I couldn't get it to match up properly.
I think there are ways to do that,
I'm
but
sure there are.
but in the meantime, I'm just kind of showing that I switched this from that to this. Okay.
Right.
And then there's one other example.
And of
that
course, then when you add texture and whatever else you did to this image,
Well, yeah,
it's-
I
you
mean,
don't-
I
you
did
don't
a
even
lot-
but you don't even notice. It's even less noticeable.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Well, anyway, yeah, I did a lot of other things to the photo too, but in terms of the perspective and in terms of getting rid of okay, here's another example real quick. This one, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but, okay, now wait a minute. I have to get into, I'm back in Lightroom, but I want to get into,
You're in develop right now.
I
you're
need
the
to be in
library.
library. I need to be in library mode. Okay, there. Okay, this is a photo that I took in the State House. And you notice this right here, this is something I could not get out. I mean, I could not shoot around it. I couldn't move this out of my way. So I used the same technique. What I did was I copied a piece from right here, flipped it over and put it here. And that helped me go from here. Now I made a lot of other changes too, but from that to this.
Yeah.
And you notice that now is completely missing, but not only is that piece not there anymore, but this that I had to fill in is completely adequately filled in from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make-
Rotating it and yeah.
Yeah, because
Flipping
if I had kept it like this, I mean, there's no way I would have been able to fill in and match this.
Yeah, there's too many lines and
Yeah, there are too many lines and it's too intricate. But
you
by
can't
doing it
clone
that
it.
way, by doing it that way, I can fill this in and make it completely symmetrical.
It's so Escher-esque now.
I'm sorry.
It's very Escher-esque now. Reminds me of an Escher drawing.
Oh, you think so? Okay. Well, anyway, anybody having questions on how I did that? If we look at,
I'm blown away by this.
Oh, that's
I'm
pretty
sorry?
cool. That's pretty cool.
I said I'm blown away by this. Like I when you were doing the example before, I started nitpicking in my mind, like, oh well, you can see the light on the wrong side of the door that you pasted on the left-hand side, but now like this, I can't even tell that there was something there that you got rid of or that you mirrored one side to the other. I'm flabbergasted.
Okay, now when I was showing this one, yes, there were a whole lot of differences, but basically all those differences can be worked around. I mean, okay, I had it at one point where it looked like this, okay? And that's not even, but then I worked on it a little more and it looked more like this. And then I put a little bit more of a vignette on it and it looked like this. Again, I'm not saying this is a wonderful photo. If I thought it was wonderful, I would have put it in competition and I never did. But I think it does show the technique and what can be done.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Definitely does that. I would put this in a competition. This is better than anything I've ever done.
Well, anyway, okay, you're back, Joni.
Great.
If you want to look at yours, do you want to bring yours up again and let me just, do you have any copies of how you were? Okay, so what happened was you had filled in the right side completely.
Yeah.
And you had a really nice background on the right side. Well, once again, you can copy that and flip it over. And I can see what you're saying about that being darker there.
Yeah,
But I think if you select the whole thing, you can work on the color. And
Well,
I'm not saying it would always work, but I'm saying
Right.
it's possible.
And I don't think that we need to take the time in this class
No,
to do it because
I don't
it's not.
either.
We can
I
do a
don't-
Photoshop SIG someday, and I'm
Yeah.
not the one to teach that, but maybe start with Mark's image. And even in the email, you had said to start with auto, right?
Yep.
So this is the raw image, not edited at all.
Hmm.
Okay, so now what do you want to do?
What I wanted to do is go down to the curves.
Yeah,
See,
tone
Scroll
curve.
down, further down. Those curves, yes. Now, so for example, let's see, what do you call the one where it's on right now? Is it called parametric?
Oh,
Yes. And
I don't know.
look, you see this blue, green, red, look at the legend. And then
Yeah,
white.
it's on the left one, the last one on
Right,
the left.
the left one. Now try moving that. Try, now you can put the cursor anywheres on the line and then move it to the left or right and get different effects.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you can make it brighter or darker because this is, and you can look at the histogram and make sure you're not getting into trouble on the right side. But then they can do something else. You could choose, let's say you want to take some more of blue out. You can choose blue, and then okay, hit the blue. There was white, red, green, and blue. So take the now you move the curve, and you're adding or subtracting blue. Now, if you
And you can see that blue is at the top of the graph and yellow is the opposite. So if cooling it by adding blue and warming it.
right, and what I'm saying is this: I can see all the things that you can do, but let me tell you, when my wife Diane, when she had breast cancer 22 years ago, there was someone who we know, a painter, and he painted a still life that was commissioned, and it was for her. In any case, he's an unbelievable artist. I couldn't afford his work now, but this is the question that I asked him. I said, when you're an artist with paint, how do you know when to stop? Now, remember, when you paint something, there's no undo button. Here we got an easier job, but still, how do we know what is good and what isn't good? I mean, obviously, it's a matter of opinion, but I'm asking you, from your experience, how would you know where to stop with this? You see what I'm asking?
Yeah, and your point is that it is what you like and what your intention of the image is. And then you could send it into competition and somebody could say, oh, you overdid the HDR in this looks too garish, or they might come up with something different, but it's got to be what your image is, what your vision is for that image, where do you want to take it, and what you enjoy, what you want to make of it. It is your art. Having said that, I'm probably going to look at the histogram and make sure I don't blow something out. I don't like a lot of noise in my images. Typically, I like a high contrasty image. That's my personal style. So, and I've been criticized by judges that it's too contrasty. I've heard that before. So while there are parameters to fall within, like there's the rule of thirds, break the rules too, and they can certainly be successful images. And I know that doesn't help you. It's not a black and white
I understand.
answer.
The Coastal Camera Club, had 2 talks the past weekend. I was busy on Saturday. The one Sunday on creativity was absolutely excellent.
Oh, that's what I need. Did they record it? Do you know?
They recorded it, but I think they're only gonna email it to the people who registered
Ah.
for it in the first place. But I did register it, so I'm quite happy to pass on the email.
I would love it if you wouldn't mind.
Why,
Mark, I was actually going to make that comment to you that, as he said yesterday, because I was at that session too, a lot of it comes down to what is your vision and what was your goal for the image, and did you meet those goals? And if you're struggling to accomplish that, express what your vision for the image was and what you were trying to accomplish, and then ask, how would you accomplish that? And somebody who is more expert in Lightroom or Photoshop can probably tell you exactly how they would do that.
I liked this. I like these tonal curves. I like what they can do. And so I just wanted to use my image as a place to show what they could do.
Sure. Thank you. Does anybody else have an image that they may have up on their Lightroom that they want to go through together? I mean, I have a few here that I can sit and play with, but this is really hopefully for you guys.
If I can be a little bit selfish, I'd like to use Mark's picture, but to me, these flowers look somewhat out of focus. Could you show how to bring these into Topaz, do a round trip this Topaz and try and sharpen that image? Because I've got Topaz and I just don't seem to get it. Maybe there's nothing, maybe I'm reading more into it, but I just don't know what to do once I'm there.
Right. Topaz is, I mean, you can watch a couple of YouTube videos and learn them very quickly, but I'll go through it real quick too. And I'm not the be all end all. I'll just show you what I typically
You are,
do.
Joni. You are.
Oh, yeah. I am so not. I am so not. So I opened up Sharpen, Topaz Sharpen AI, and this is the default, came in as 2, but there's actually several different versions that you can look through, but I think there's a 4. I'm not correct. Yeah. Okay, so now I have 4 and it's at 100%. I might actually bring it back down to like 50% to see, or we could go up to 100%. I'll just zoom around a little bit more because these are the ones we want. This is the area we want to be in focus. And so I'm comparing 4 different suggestions that Sharpen is making. Is the reason this is not completely in focus because it's some motion blur, it was out of focus, it's too soft, and you can see there's too soft normal, too soft very noisy. There's many more images, and you can choose which one you want to look at.
Joni, you know that it will choose the one that it thinks you should choose if you hit that little thing up that says sharpen model.
Right here.
To the right.
Right here.
Turn that on.
Turn that on. So this has been updated since the last time that I have to move it over. So I'm clicking it.
Oh, you know what? You can't turn it on when you have 4 models up.
What do you need, 1 or 2?
Go back.
You have to
Yeah,
turn
now
off the
turn on.
the
There.
parameters.
Now it's going to choose the model that it thinks is best. It's
And
going
it's
to make the
chosen
motion blur very blurry.
Very blurry. Okay.
Yeah.
This has obviously been updated since the last time I've used it. I did not have this option, and I didn't have that many options either. There were only 4, I think, last time I used it. So now I'm looking at this, and this looks really crunchy and really noisy to me. It's sharpening the edges, but it does not really. And look at it's sharpening all. So for this image, I would denoise this before I would sharpen it. I would cancel this.
And it's not the best image to use for demonstrating top.
Right.
It's a very hard image to fix with the top.
Right. But I saw that the big foreground was out of focus, but even there's a lot of noise in this image. So I would
Where does the
denoise
noise
this
come from? I understand where noise comes from, if you have a high ISO, but it was a bright sunny day.
Let's see what the information on here is. Your ISO 4000 and what kind of camera? 4000's a little high.
4,000. Okay. I know what happens. I have an essential tremor, as probably everyone knows. So I probably turned the shutter speed to be fast. So it turned up the ISO to deal with that.
No, it's F18, that's the issue.
Yeah, the A15 is the issue. Your shutter speed's a 60th. That's not a fast shutter speed.
But then what,
Because-
why is, okay.
Because you have a very,
F18
very,
is why I have
right.
a high ISO.
If you had gone down to 8, you would have let a lot more light in and you would have been able to bump up your shutter speed and not have such a high ISO.
Got it.
But in order to, I mean, I don't know that this, you mean, I would denoise this, because when I brought this into Sharpen, Paul, it sharpened all that noise.
Oh,
So
okay.
I would typically take the noise out. And I think in
Okay.
Topaz AI, it does both at the same time now. So I can certainly edit in Topaz AI.
Was Topaz
Although-
AI basically a catch-all for all the other Topazes, or are the other ones, individual ones, still useful?
I think it's a combination. I think it blended Sharpen and denoise. That's
Ah,
my
okay.
understanding. It's brand new and I've only used it once or twice.
Okay.
And I'm going to go back in it. I'm going to go back to preferences because it's going to bug me. And even though I can just get rid of it, external editing and
You can still
Topaz-
use them individually though.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
I know you can. I was just wondering if does Topaz AI obviate the need to buy the individual packages?
I think you
That's
get
what
them
they're looking to
all.
do, I think. They're
Yeah.
looking to get you to just use one package so that they can continually update the new AI.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
I've done a little bit of testing, and it's strange that in some images it works better with just the AI, and sometimes it's better sharpening and denoising.
So
Okay.
it went through the denoising and now it's sharpening. So I believe the left side is the original and the right side is the after. This is before and this is after. So if you look especially down here in the, it's going to redo it. See, it's removing noise. Every time you move the picture, it redoes it. So preview is updated. So if you look in right in here, how much noise there is, especially here,
Yeah.
and you look here, you I do make it. I don't see where. Fit fill, fit 55%.
Does it tend to work better with just slightly soft focus versus motion blur, or like this image just looks like it's really tough to fix?
Yeah, I think this is really tough to fix.
This is practically impossible. But
Yeah.
Paul, you need to test, because sometimes automatically Topaz Sharpen tries to choose a mode, and you try other modes, and you will find it's better with a different mode.
Agreed.
Okay.
Just play with.
Okay. Thank you.
But my results, I tried with playing a lot with Topaz, and sometimes the results are just excellent.
So I
Sometimes the
didn't
results
save
are
that.
excellent.
What's it?
Sometimes the results are excellent.
Yeah, I really try. If Lightroom cannot get what I want, Topaz frequently helps.
Right.
Okay.
So we have some time here. It's 8:20. Listen, I don't mind ending early, believe me.
You
But
want
I'm
me to show? You want me to show one of mine?
Sure, I'll stop sharing.
Well, let me just ask the question, why is this picture so difficult for Topaz to fix?
I mean,
But there are many.
go ahead.
Okay, go.
No, you go ahead, Leo.
It's too many elements, and it's noise. It is too many branches, and it's very hard for Topaz to see whether it's branches, separate pieces, or is it just spread out throughout the picture. I tried do something like that with very poor results, always. And by the way, another question, I was told, I found it once, but I never used it. I was told that Lightroom has its own additional feature for sharpening, not just regular sharpening. And it was somewhere in the photo. And for whatever reasons, not every photo had this feature. Can you take a look at it, please? I think it's in the photo.
Where do you think it is?
In the options at the top, photo.
Do you have to be in develop photo?
There was something in addition to just sharpen. An additional option to sharpening.
Looking, if it, I don't see it in photo.
Try in tools. I need to open mine and see if it can be done.
It's in the detail tab and develop module.
Oh, develop module. Oh, well, yeah, but yes, there's definitely a sharpening here.
No, I saw it somewhere, it's another option somewhere. I have to find it and maybe tell you.
So
at
the only
next
other place I've seen it is if you are putting a mask on and this flex guide just for something. There's a sharpen right here, but that's the same as in your detail tab. There is a sharpness right here. Well, we don't want to sharpen the sky, but let's do invert the mask, everything but the sky, and turn off our overlay so we can.
No, I wasn't talking about masking. I don't use masking at all.
Okay, so it's that I do know there's a sharpness in there is all I'm saying.
But again, let me try to find it and I'll get it for you for the next meeting.
Oh, all right, that's fine. I'm going to stop sharing, Alan, then you can share, okay?
Here, I just was turning something on. Okay.
What?
Well, you told me to shut my
Never said
video off.
Oh, then yeah.
Can you see this?
Yep.
Let me go full screen. So here's.
I just lost 3 fillings looking at all that taffy.
Well, so that's why the taffy's there. I'm probably never going to have it again.
Yeah.
So anyways, this is where I started, and this is massaging it with Lightroom.
That's a huge difference, huh? That's not massaging.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I did bring it into Lightroom, Photoshop, from Lightroom, and I did go in and specifically, get this detail out a little bit more with the sharpening tool. But this is what you can do from an image like this with the little creative thinking and maneuvering of your stuff and just doing it. So I let me just go and.
When you took that image, is this how you envisioned it?
No.
Could you? Okay. Good,
No.
because I couldn't have gone that far. I can envision some things when I'm out in the field, but I couldn't have
So
gone
this
that
is how
far.
many masks I use.
Right.
So so each mask I'm doing really specific things to it.
Yeah, that's a great thing about me. I'm curious. I'm surprised you had to go into Photoshop to sharpen that.
Well, so what I did is, so I also use Nick products and detail extractor, and so I used a few products.
Okay.
So, but those were just to enhance the detail in here, along with doing some detail work in the masking tools. So, but this is what you can do just by using Lightroom.
Alan,
Can
how
you go
long?
back?
Yes.
Go ahead, Paul.
I was just gonna ask, how long did this take you, Alan?
So I probably worked on it for, I want to say an hour, but what happens is that I do things like this. So does everybody see the full screen?
Yeah.
And I sit back and I say, where can I improve this? What can I do to make this better? Where am I going to try to focus my energy on working at it? And I might say, okay, let me do a quick look at something else. So I'll work on something else, and then come back with a fresh idea. So if you add those kind of times, I probably did 2 or 3 hours.
Okay.
But to physically do it, probably less than a half an hour. With the
Years of practice behind that.
I'm sorry.
With years of practice backing that half hour up.
Well, yeah, so somebody else asked me that before. I've been doing this for over 50 years. I had started the original Lightroom. So I started Lightroom 1. And I've been working with Lightroom. And I take classes. I listen to other people. I still have problems too, by the way. I'm not going to tell you I don't. But what I'm trying to do is when I see something. So when I photograph this, as you see, I started working on different aspects of it, and to see what I really wanted to try to do with it. And so I spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I shot 6 images, looking at the same, piece, to see what I'm going to do to sort of get the best image from it. Now, I went out with the wind blowing. I went out with my macro lens. I went out with the intention of, thinking about what I wanted to see, and I was looking at dead things or plant life that has been expired. So I did spend some time working on thinking about what I wanted to shoot, but when I got it, I looked at this and, I said, I like what's going on in the middle. How can I improve it? And then I went about just sort of, seeing what this does. So I do things like this. I'll go.
Yes, you're bringing all the sliders to the ends of
I'm
to the
doing extreme
extremes.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing to the extremes to see what it's going to do. What structure is going to do. Things like that, and see how much detail I get out of this.
Hmm.
Well, since I know that if I go to the 2 extremes over here, both in texture and clarity, let me reset. I can come in here and say subject. And then I can go in and go to the texture and go to the clarity and see what that does right here specifically. Now I can make another mask just, working on this. But I selected a subject and looked to see what it did, on its entirety. Anyways, I'll go back and I'll bring down the details and subdue the whites. And so I'm not anywhere close to this,
Right.
but I've explored a couple of different methods, but my point that I'm looking at, that really want to focus on, has definitely improved
Mm-hmm.
and sharpened it. Now I can work on all this other stuff. But I'm looking at it and saying, what can I do to improve things? And that's what's really helpful about listening to other people and the way their methodology is. And I want to thank Joni for showing us again. And I sit back and I listen, and I watch other people do what they do, simply because I want to improve my workload. and see what it does. So,
I know Beth actually, she private messaged me and said she has something she wanted to show us as well.
I'm off.
There you go. Thank you, Alan. Take it away, Beth.
Okay, and I found this sharpening option.
Okay, when Beth opens up her, shares her screen, you're going to share your screen, Beth?
Yes,
And opens up her Lightroom, maybe you can tell her where it is.
just 1 second.
Deb Valley, I'm glad you signed in as Deb Valley tonight and not John McLeish. So I know who you are. Now, I don't think I'll forget John McLeish now anyway, but she doesn't have a video. I don't know if you have a microphone either, but I just wanted to acknowledge I see you.
Sure. Whoops.
Did you get that from Avatar? I see you.
No.
Okay. So if you kind of look, I think this is the original photographer's image. And
So she sent you JPEGs?
yes.
Okay.
She
I
took,
think we talked about this.
yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think she took JPEGs. I'm not sure. But you can tell, I mean, you can see that her eyes are not sharp. And a good portion of these photos came out like this. And some were even blurrier than this one, but this is the one that I found really fast. That's the.
Did you ask for a refund?
It was in a package deal. This is through Photo AI. It went from disappointing, sort of disappointing, to not disappointing. The way I see it.
So is Photo AI, is that the new Topaz?
Yes, Topaz
Oh.
Photo, they call it Topaz Photo AI, and it has the sharpening, and it is phenomenal on portraits. I know I did another one that's pretty amazing if I can find it.
Yeah, that was a dramatic improvement.
So I was confusing,
JPEG.
sorry, Fred. I was confusing Topaz for Photo AI. That's what
Yeah, it's Topaz Photo AI.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think this one.
Yeah, that was a big difference, Fred. I was interrupting Fred, sorry.
So I think this is kind of, no, I didn't do that one. These are the
She
ones
didn't
I
even tell
wanted.
him the comb was here.
He's not my kid. I don't know.
That's
No,
what
No,
no,
with a
Rose-
photographer.
That photographer.
Oh, no, I'm almost positive she is not a portrait photographer.
Oh, God.
Because I think a portrait photographer would have done that.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so this one's sort of blurry too. And I didn't run this one through. Well, maybe no, I don't think I ran this one through AI yet. But anyway, so you could see how good it works really well on portraits. They can't be, like multiple exposure kind of things by, or handheld shakiness. Like for me, I would never be able to fix it in Photo AI if I were hand holding anything, but it's worth checking it out, I think. Because it also does well on other things besides portraits.
Should we work on any of these in the develop module just while we have a little bit of time?
So work on this one.
Okay. So that's the original. Yeah, that's
Okay.
Tom. That's Tom Kuchara's hand in the background, and it was a process. So the first thing I wanted to do with this is clearly crop it. And I want to give it some headspace. But if I take this up, I don't like it. I want to keep some of that stem in there to give it like a firm hold. You know what I mean? Like a, I can't think of the word I want. So I want to keep that in, but I don't want it there, but I'll get rid of it. But at first I want to do that. So that's okay. And I do kind of the same. Well, I guess I could heal this first, because that's my process is typically what bothers me most. Well, obviously I don't want the whole image, the crop I'm going to do. And I'm going to crop first because I want to only work on the pixels that I'm going to probably keep in the image. The next thing that bothers me is this. So I'm going to take the healing tool and I'm going to use healing because that's a little bit gentler usually, especially with all these variegating colors in the background. And I'm going to make, and this might not always work. I haven't done this yet. So that did okay. I might do it one more time to get rid of the dark spot and maybe another time. So, and that, now that works for me. I had to do it 3 times. And the rule of thumb for me is after 3 times, if the healing tool doesn't work or the cloning tool I might switch to, which is the one next to it, see how that doesn't do as good a job as the healing kind of melds it a little bit better, softens it. Then I would take it into Photoshop. But if I don't have to take it into Photoshop, I don't. So that was the second thing that bugged me. To me, the highlights are a little bit high. So I wanted to take the highlights down a little, and I wanted to see, and I could take them all the way down, but I'm pretty sure I don't want them that far down. So, and then the shadows, I'll bring that up and see if I like that. And that's okay. I like that. I might even now even bring the highlights down a little bit more. And I still would probably want this background to be a little bit softer and a little bit less bright to let this part pop out, because this is what attracted me right here, this little part right here. So I'm going to use a mask for that. I'll select subject and see what it does for that. That looks great. I'm going to then invert that mask. I just turned the eyeball off, sorry. I'm going to invert that mask for the background. And I tend to turn my overlay off so I can, so I know what I want to do. I think I want to darken that a little bit. And I think I want to even bring the clarity down a little bit, make that even a little bit creamier. I think I like that. I'm trying to see if there's a lot of noise in there. I don't think there is. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm going to get out of the masking tool. I do see a couple little dots here now that I look a little carefully. So I'm going to go back to the healing brush. I'm going to use my left bracket and bring that down to just about a little bit bigger than what it is. And I'm going to zap that out. And let's see if I can zap this out. It's on the line. So I did a pretty good job. And maybe even this right here. There you go. If I didn't like where those positions were, I can hit the H key. And now it shows me all these edits. And like for this edit, it took from here, from this edit, this is where these brushes came from. If I hover over the Band-Aid, you can see that, I can't hover over and point at the same time, but you can see another circle presents, and that's where Lightroom took the part of the image from. Here it was right below it. And I typically turn those little, I hide those little icons because it's easier sometimes to find, to zone,
Where did that circle come from? I was going to ask you that earlier.
Right, the circles you see now.
No, there was a,
Oh, when I hover over it.
yeah.
So when I have where the hand is where I actually healed, and where Lightroom took the information, the pixels from, is that circle below it.
No.
Okay.
There was another circle over to the right when you
Over
hovered
here?
over it. Nope.
This is
Johnny?
part of the tablet.
Good, he was talking about your tablet menu. Your tablet menu, Joni.
Like,
You
oh,
were
right
on
here?
the side,
This?
Yeah, your tablet menu opened up.
This one right here? Oh,
Yeah.
that?
Your welcome tablet menu.
Oh,
The round circle.
yeah, right here.
Oh, so
That?
it's from the, okay, never mind. It's
Yeah.
a welcome.
Yep,
Okay.
sorry, that's from my welcome time. Yep, okay. Oh my God. So I tend to keep these off, and I might even want to like click that one a little bit. Just if I'm being a perfectionist, which I'm not. is there something in this image that somebody else is saying, well, Joni, why wouldn't you do that? Can I do that? Do you have a suggestion?
Joni, how would you deal with the specular highlights on the front of that?
Right
left
here?
side? Yeah,
Right here?
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice it till you said it. Thanks. I could try to brush in, and I'm gonna have to make this brush smaller.
Can you do a mask on, what is it, luminosity or intensity?
Yeah, yeah. Let's try. I'll do that too. Let's do this one first and see. I don't think it's gonna work. That's pretty high there. I want to. There's a little there. There's even a little bit here now that I look around.
That's why I do one at a time.
Yeah.
I'll
I
set
could
a
do
separate
that
mask up just to work on that
for each one. But yeah.
for each imperfection, and I'm trying to
Okay.
correct. And it
All
just
right.
it gives me more control. It's
Yeah, you're right. And you can label them too.
Yeah.
But and I'm going to hit the option key and make this smaller because I think I went a little bit too far on this one. I don't think I need to go up here. And I'm again just being kind of picky. All right, so let's see. I'm going to turn the overlay off. Let's see if I can lower the. Oh, that did okay. That did something. That's too much there. And maybe my feather needs to be a little bit higher too.
try the white.
So
try the
let's
white
turn
glue.
that mask on and off. Did it make a difference? That's off and that's on. How come it looks better off?
Could you bring the flow and density down and then kind of take like several brush strokes on it, like you're almost like you're burning it in? Would that work? So, do it, just work it with the
See
lower
now
density.
it's I'm not understanding this mask right now, to be honest with you. I'm gonna get rid of it. All right, so I create a mask. I'm doing a brush. I'm gonna bring it in. I gotta get my overlays there. I'll bring it in. Oh, my flow is way down now. All right. Pretty good. It's okay. And you want me to bring my flow down? And my density down?
Yeah, that's too low.
Well, let's see what it does. So now we brought the highlights down, right? And I don't like the mask right there. I could fix that, but. And then maybe the exposure down a little. But I feel like it's gotta be feathered more. And you think bringing the density down helps in the flow?
Well,
Looks
if
like you have to,
I think if you adjust your exposure sliders before you paint, then you can take the brush and just multiple strokes
build it
paint
up.
it, like you're just
Yeah.
lightening it up a little bit at a time.
all right, so,
So create a brush, then set your sliders, and then just start brushing a little bit at a time. Does that work?
all right, so the flows usually, those are the normal.
Flows
And I
are about
typically-
half.
Oh, half? That's normal?
Yeah, then each time you brush, it's gonna add more of what you're
Right.
doing, more you change.
Yeah, I know, I understand the thought process. I just usually,
Then you can kind of see.
this
what
is
you're doing.
adding highlight though. I feel like this is adding. This isn't taking away, is it?
No, it's actually
No, it's
taken
taking
away.
it away.
It's taking away,
Okay.
taking away very gently.
It's leaving the high highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it. Like if I turn this on and off, well, oh, I see what you're saying. I can see it now.
The more you paint, the more it takes away.
I still want to just do it this way and bring it down this way and bring it down this way. I don't think I can get rid of them totally.
Yeah.
So
I'd
Mhm.
probably take it into Photoshop and clone some of the green and
Yeah, I guess it didn't bother me that much. until you said it.
I mean, I liked it before too. Didn't
So,
bother
so
me.
But-
Joni,
Yeah,
create a mask,
yeah,
subject,
I will, just a second.
Okay.
I'll see. Okay, create a mask, subject.
and now
Yep.
take away everything but the middle point and the little point just below it. So you don't want to affect anything in that sort of tube. So you want to subtract.
This right here,
You just want to keep that and get rid of, yes. And you want to,
Take- you want me to
get rid
take
of the
a-
rest.
you
You want
wanna
to work on that area.
you want me to work on this area?
Yes, so just take away everything else. Do a square and take away a minus on it.
Okay, why wouldn't I just try to pick this to begin with?
You could.
I would think so, but I don't know if I can. See
Oh,
if
I
can
wanted
see.
the whole thing. Never mind. It's hard to
All right.
explain. I mean, what I'd like to try to do is the detail on the center and that edge right there. So
The
all of
detail
that-
the detail right here.
and the
right
detail,
here?
yes, those are the other things I want detail on.
All right, so let me see if I can choose the subject there and add to subject. I'm gonna just add it with a brush. And my flow, I'm used to my flow and density up here, I think.
Okay, now go down to your texture and clarity and crank it up a little bit.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
more.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And that way you're getting those veins, even, more texture to those veins.
right, right.
And you know,
And these two pieces are kind of, framing it a little bit.
right. And you can actually
Interesting.
do it more than once. You can make more than one layer by
Right.
adding another mask.
Okay. We got a few more minutes. Anything else?
Want to try super sharp?
Super sharp on this one?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter which.
Is this Leo?
Yeah,
Yeah, you were gonna show us where that is.
yeah. Go to
Photo?
enhance.
Ah.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
you
know
see super
anything about
resolution.
this. This is super new to me. Super resolution?
It doubles the resolution. It
Oh,
takes time. You
Phyllis,
see,
Phyllis wants to enter and we're just about
I've never
over.
seen that.
Say
Me
no.
neither. No, I didn't.
and click on enhance.
Say that again, Joni, you,
All right, so I clicked on enhance.
It's
Yeah,
doubling the number of pixels.
It's doubling your pixels, so.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what, I can't even, oh, it's not
Scroll
done
bar
yet.
still going.
There you go. It's still working
It's hard
on
to
it.
see
That's-
on this one because it's a very sharp image to begin with. So you
Well,
need
of course,
to
I
try
only shoot
something
very
that-
sharp. No, but I saw, look at the resolution. It doubled it.
Yeah.
Now, it did make a separate picture too, because there's two images down here and I can unstack them. Maybe. Did I not click that right? There we go. So this is my image because this is 27 by 86, 2786 by 41. And then when I enhanced it, so now this is making it a larger file image. Is this like doing what Gigapixel would do? And you can see it's an enhanced
exactly right.
DNG.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
exactly.
So you don't even have to go into Gigapixel anymore. Like with that image,
It's not as
270
good as that one. It's not as
Yeah.
good. It's
no,
just
but if you
double.
don't need it to be as good, it's a lot quicker and easier than going into gigapixel. Leo, how long is this a new feature?
It's been for a while.
It's about a year.
Wow.
So,
I
but
don't think
Gigapixel does a better job, did you say?
Yeah.
I
I haven't tried
never,
gigapixel.
I never used this. So
I
thank you.
tried on several images that were not that great, especially in much older images, like from
Yeah.
10 years ago, and
Yeah.
I didn't have a whole lot of success. So I wish somebody would show me where this is actually useful and have great results. But
Well, and of
nice
course,
feature. But
didn't we have an image in the last couple weeks that we brought into gigapixel? Oh, I think it was this one that we did last week.
yeah, butterfly.
No, I did it. I think I did it before.
I think it was a different butterfly.
Okay. Yeah, hold on a second. I want to get back up here. Go back to that. Let's see if it was
You said it was a JPEG.
right. I think it was this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really think it was this one. But I think that does this?
Oh, this is the JPEG. Sorry.
Yeah, I know this is the JPEG, but I know that I'm trying to see where in the history we went into gigapixel, and I don't see that we exported it or did anything. Heal that object.
I do see it. It was 832 by 960. So it definitely made a bigger one.
I don't know, because this is the final results, so I don't know where that is. Anyway, hi Phyllis. I wanted to show you I made my cursor bigger and changed the color, but you weren't here most of the night.
I got busy. I completely forgot. I was on the phone with a friend from California and I came running up. Thank you. I appreciate it. It was the first thing I noticed, the red. Really? I don't know
If
about
it's not
anyone
big enough, I even know how to fix it if it's not big enough. I went into those system settings, appearance, accessibility, display, pointer, size. I can even make it bigger.
Oh, I like it that way.
All right.
You are wonderful. I appreciate it. I hope other
Just for you.
people do.
All right. And unfortunately, Phyllis, we were just ending our night.
I know. I got busy.
All right.
Johnny, if you shake your pointer, it should increase in size tremendously.
Shake it.
It's an option.
Is that like shake your thing, shake your booty?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think you
if
have
you
to.
shake it,
I think you can turn that on.
Yeah, it will just.
I feel like that's a setting I saw somewhere.
But it was, yeah, right above the colors, there was a shake mouse indicator.
Shake mouse indicator. Quickly move the mouse and put back a point to make it bigger. So that's turned on, but it didn't do it.
It has to be an arrow, not a hand. So if you have a.
It's perfect. I can, at least now when you're moving around so fast, I can see where you're going. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it does it on my computer. It becomes a big arrow.
I'm sorry. I'll have to review it when you send it out tomorrow.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to end the thing. I'm going to say good night, all.
Thank you,
Night.
Johnny.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
I'll send out the stuff
Good night.
tomorrow. Good night.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
Johnny.
Wait a minute,
Thank you.
next
Good
Monday.
tomorrow.
Good
I was gonna
night.
say
See you
next-
all tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, we'll keep an
All right.
eye on the weather to determine whether or not we're gonna be at the church or not. So if we decide not to
Oh.
go to the church, I'll send out an email.
Yep. Thank you.
I got a call from Framingham Town Hall saying,
Yeah, no, the
Whatever they
reverse
said.
911. It's it's the parking ban for the winter storm. That's all. Good night, everybody.
Okay,
Thank
good
you.
night.
Night.
Good night.
Bye.